Hey, this is Brett Karstens. I'm the Haunted Medium, and you are listening to Bigfoot Club podcast.
Hey, everybody. Robert Jesse Dominguez, Bigfoot Club, Season 4, Episode 1. I'm here with Steven Dominguez, my nephew. Steven, say what's up.
What's up?
Hey, it's been a while since we've been on.
Yes, it has. It has been a while.
We ended, well, I didn't really officially end it, but we had season 3. We ended season 3. I did a show with Juan Valdez in April, and I released it in May the 15th, and May the 7th and May the 15th, part 1 and part 2. And I wasn't able to do a show like until then, so we haven't done a show in a while. So we decided we're going to start fresh with season 4, episode 1. One thing I wanted to get out of the way was let's talk about the elephant in the room. Ash Tucker is no longer a part of this podcast. We wish her the best with her endeavors wherever she's going to go. She helped us along the way, and we're moving on without her. So in her place, which is absent today, is Juan Valdez. So Juan took her spot, and he's going to be our new co-host. But he's unable to make this first episode, so it's just me and Steven today. So
yep, just us.
So I was just wanted to talk about the lapse in our shows, because like I said, we did one in April. We did some shows in April, and then I wasn't able to release them until May, and those were like later on. Early in this year, a lot of people don't know, I've been on a couple podcasts. Shout out to Terry Kegel with Porch Matters podcast, Hadley Thorne with Weird Realities podcast, and shout out to Wes Sanders and his In the Shed podcast. I've been on a couple podcasts, and I talked about my condition, but really didn't go really like deep into it. But earlier this past year, I got really sick, and it wasn't with COVID. I had this thing early in January where I wasn't able to hold any food down, and I was losing weight, and I just couldn't keep any food down. And so eventually I ended up going to a gastrologist, and I had to do surgery, and they found out that I had some polyps in my large intestine, and one of them was cancerous. So at that time, I had to have surgery, colorectomy, and that was in May the 4th. And I was out of work. I took like a leave of absence from work, and so I ended up had surgery. And upon my recovery, I ended up getting this thing called GBS, Guillain-Barré syndrome. And I don't know if a lot of people know what Guillain-Barré syndrome is. And I know at that time, Steven, you didn't know what it was, right?
No, I didn't. You ended up getting it, and you didn't even know. The doctors didn't even know. At that point, you were, I guess, losing like your feet were.
Yeah.
We're feeling like numb, like they were asleep. And I remember you telling me about it. And at that point, we just thought it was the medication, because you had so much anxiety because everything that you were going through.
Yeah.
You thought it was the anxiety medicine. But I'll let you keep going. Yeah,
because at that time, I think I had just got 6 inches of my intestine removed, and my oncologist wanted to do chemo, and so he had me put in a Metaport on my chest so I can go through chemo. And I went to surgery to go get this chemo, and this was probably like later in the month of May. And after I got out of that surgery, I kept falling down. I got home, and I was still on medical leave, and I fell down like 4 times, and I just couldn't figure out why. So I called my brother, and I said, "Hey, something's wrong. I can't stand. I don't know what's the deal. I got to go to the emergency room." So he took me to the emergency room, and like my feet and my hands started getting numb. And I don't know where like the doctors heard that. They they think they wrote down something about saying that, you know, it didn't, the numbness didn't start in my hands and my feet. It started somewhere else. And I don't know where that got, you know, informed or something, but I ended up getting that. I got admitted into the hospital on May the 25th. And as I was like in the hospital, you know, the numbness was going up my legs more and more. Like it was going like to my calf and my knee and my thigh and stuff. And so it was, you know, it was pretty, you know, traumatic. And I didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what was going on. They were doing all kinds of tests, doing MRIs and blood tests and stuff. They just really couldn't figure it out. And at that time, I think it was May the 29th. I don't remember much about this. So I'm going off what other people told me. So on the 29th, I'll just say this. The last thing I recall, I was in the hospital. I was having a hard time breathing. I was telling the nurse that I have a hard time breathing. Like it felt like I was running and then stopped and then tried to catch my breath. So I couldn't do it. And, so the nurse comes in, she puts an oxygen mask on me. She says, breathe, you know, take deep breaths. You're fine. And she walked off. And at that time, my older brother, Steve, was with me, and then he ended up leaving. And then my brother Raymond came in and he was with me. And from that point on, I don't remember. So, Steven, I'll let you tell this part of the story because I don't remember much about this.
Okay.
If it's okay with you.
No, it's okay. And if I choke up, I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry because Robert, you really mean a lot to me. I don't think I say that enough. I love you. And I
love you too, so.
I know. And you are I was telling Blair this too, like whenever Steve was telling me that you were he's like, he's not making any sense. He's like, he keeps saying that he has to slow down, and I don't know what that means. What does it mean? I go, I don't. At that time I couldn't visit you because I was watching The Boys, and I was too busy, you know, working, and Blair was working at Dry Force, and he kept telling me that, and I just kept being positive, and Blair was trying to keep me positive. But Steve, he was really worrying me, and he was telling me, he goes, hey, you know, he's not making any sense, and he's having difficulty breathing, and he's having a hard time talking. Like he'll start talking, and he'll just get tired, and he's like, I'm really, really scared. I don't want to scare you, but it's really bad. I don't know what's going on. But I wasn't there to judge it, and I was like, okay, maybe Steve's overreacting. Maybe he's just, you know, we just been through. We had a lifetime of many hospital visits that we just did not want to be a part of. And Steve was like, hey, I'm leaving, and Raymond's here, and you know, they have Robert in the oxygen mask and everything, so he can, you know, because he's having so much anxiety. I think it's just anxiety. And I was like, yeah, that's probably what it is. And I think at that time too, he was telling me that you weren't eating that much because you said you weren't hungry.
Yeah.
I said, well, maybe he's weak because he's not hungry and all that stuff. So not even 10 minutes after he called me saying he was leaving, he calls me back. And I missed the phone call, and because I was tending to the boys, and then I called him back, and I was like, hey, what's up? Did you butt down me? He's like, no. Did Raymond call you? And I was like, no, why? He's like, he just called me right now telling me to come back to the hospital. I go, did he say why? And he was like, no, but I'm just turning around. I got on 183, and I just turned back around. I'm turning back around and heading there now. I was like, okay, let me know. So I hung up with him, and something told me to call Raymond. So I called Raymond. He didn't answer. And I was like, okay, you know, let me call him again. So I called him again. I think I called him 4 times. And then on the 5th time, he answered. And I can hear a lot of commotion in the background. I hear what I don't want to hear. I hear nurses. I think I heard a couple of nurses like yelling at each other, and I heard some beeping, and he was like, "Hey, mijo," and I go, well, Raymond, what's wrong? He's like, he's not breathing. I was like, okay, Steve told me he's on the oxygen. So what do you mean he's not breathing? He's like, no, he's not. He's flatlined. He's not breathing. And I was like, I go, Raymond. I think I told Raymond. I go, this is not funny, Raymond. He's like, I'm sorry. I'm not. He was trying really hard to hold it together for me, and I was already breaking.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I was watching the boys, and I couldn't rush to the hospital to be with you. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, Raymond, what? I was just so confused, and so I was just questioning everything. And I was like, well, what are they doing right now? He's like, they're trying to resuscitate him, but he said it's been like 3 minutes, and he's still not coming back. And I was like, Raymond, what's wrong? Like, I kept telling him, why is he flat? Like, he was fine. And he was like, I don't know, Mijo, I have to let you go. I'm waiting on Steve right now. I'll call you if anything changes. So he hung up with me, and then I called Blair, and I was already a wreck. I think I was screaming at her, and she said, okay. And she called her dad, Mark, and he's the real MVP on this.
Right.
Didn't even hesitate. I think he got there within. It felt like forever. It felt like 2 hours, but he honestly got there in 15 minutes. He was like, "Hey, man," because the plan was for him to get there, and then I just take off and go to the hospital. But when he got there, he was like, "Hey, man, I know you want to go to the hospital, but let me drive you. Please let me drive you, because right now you are in a state of shock, and I don't need you, just something happening to you." And I was like, at that time, I was already thinking that you were gone. Like you were, because 3 minutes is a long time. At that time, I was like, I'm going to go to the hospital, and I'm going to see you, no longer here. And I think right whenever we were about to leave, Raymond called me. He's like, "Hey, he's back, Mule." And I was like, I just started crying. I was like, "So he's okay?" And he's like, "They got him back. His heart's pumping again." But he goes, "I have to tell you, he was gone for 7 minutes, and they're already telling me that there could be some brain swelling, and it could still be bad." And I was like, I go, "But he's breathing." He's like, "He's breathing. He's back. I'll let you know." I go, "I'm on my way right now." He's like, "Okay, I'll see you when you get here." And so Mark drops me off. The boys already see me as emotional wreck, and they knew that something was wrong, but they didn't want to, or they didn't understand. Mm-hmm. But as soon as I got out of the car, I told them that I loved them. And then they were like, "Can we go see Uncle Robert?" And I was like, not right now, because he's sick right now. And Mark was like, "Hey, boys, let's just go. You're gonna come home with me, and you're gonna spend CK." And he just redirected them.
Yeah.
So like I said, Mark was the real MVP on that day.
Yeah, he was.
So I remember running inside the hospital, and I think I asked the lady, but I remembered Raymond on the way. Raymond messaged me what floor y'all were in, mm-hmm. and what room number, and to take the elevators. But for some reason, I blacked out on that, and I went to the receptionist, and I was like, "Do you know what room Robert Jesse Dominguez in?" And they were all like, "Is he a patient?" And I was like, "You know what? Never mind." And I just ran to the elevators. By the time I got to the floor, I was already out of breath. Mm-hmm. And I saw Raymond, and he's like, he's still here, but they're taking him to check to see, I forgot what he said, a scan,
MRI,
to see if there was any brain swelling. And so we just waited, and then that's whenever I can't remember which doctor it was that told Raymond. I said that they can't figure it out. They don't know why your heart stopped, and there's no swelling to the brain, which is they were like, we don't know why that's possible. We don't know how that they were like, he did not get any. He got zero oxygen to the brain for 7 minutes, and already at 3 minutes, it's already swelling. That's usually the case whenever a person doesn't get oxygen to the brain. The brain just starts, I guess, collapsing and it starts to swell because it's not getting the oxygen. It's fighting. So they were like, we don't know what happened here, but he's gonna be in this room, and we put a ventilator in him, and he's in and out right now. So we'll let you know when you can see him. So I don't know. I think it was like maybe an hour or two. Like again, at this time, it feels like forever.
Yeah.
We finally were able to see you. I think Raymond went to go see you first, and then he was only gone for like maybe 5 minutes, and he came back and got me. And then that's whenever I saw you on the ventilator, and I don't know how. I think I cried all of it out before I went to see you because I wanted to be strong.
Right.
And when I got to you, you looked at me, and I took it as like you saying I'm sorry, but I don't think you. I think you knew, but I don't think you knew what happened. But you knew that you saw. I know you felt the ventilator. You saw the ventilator. I know you knew that this was serious. But I don't think you knew to the extent that what happened. And I grabbed your hand and I said, "Don't apologize. You're here. I just need you here." And then that's whenever I stayed. I think I stayed with you there for like maybe an hour, and then I let the people, because it kept saying, there could only be 2 people in the room, but they were like, honestly, he really needs rest because of what happened. And so yeah, that's whenever I went back to the waiting room, and I saw I think I saw Joe. I think I saw
my cousin Joe.
Yeah, your cousin Joe. Richard came in a little bit later, and he was. I think I already told you that. I think Richard was pissed.
My older brother Richard, yeah.
Yes, he was. He was beyond pissed because he of the deterioration of how you went there with just like minimal I guess side effects of what was going on.
Yeah.
And how slowly you were deteriorating, and they just
didn't do anything.
They didn't rush to figure out why. They just kept saying, "We don't know, but we'll just keep him here. It's anxiety." Grandma was there too. Mary was there.
My
Joe was
Mary,
there.
My brother-in-law Joe.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Just a lot of people were there, and I think I'm gonna pass it on to you because I think that's whenever you woke up too, like you were out and then you woke up, and
so
yeah,
the same night that I coded, I woke up because I don't see, because whenever I woke up, I didn't know what day it was or where I was at. I didn't know very much. I just knew that I was in a different room. That's all I knew. And I know when I saw you, I know that it was pretty serious, and I couldn't talk. I had a ventilator in my mouth, and I know that the look you gave me, it was just really concerned, and I didn't want that for you, and I was pretty hurt because I didn't want you to go through that, and it was like my first reaction was to tell you that I was sorry because I didn't want you to go through that because anybody that knows our family is that we've gone through so much stuff, and I just didn't really want that for you. So I was pretty hurt that you were hurt, if that makes sense. So, it's just one of those things that because I had pride myself in taking care of you and making sure you're safe and you're fine. And so to put you through that is that something I really wanted to do? I mean, because I think in the bigger scheme of things that, I know when I die, I'm going to go before you. That's how it's going to be. But I didn't think I was going to be that soon. And, cause I know when I woke up, I saw you, but I don't see it. The thing with me is that I didn't know the chronological order of what stuff happens. So it's like it was cause I don't remember much when I coded. And, there was a nurse that was, I'll backtrack a little bit here, right? Okay. So there was a nurse that was giving me the oxygen whenever, like right before I coded. She was not very nice to me. She was kind of rude to me at first. And, later found out that she was like, whenever I coded, my brother Raymond told me that she came in with, her Superman cape or Superwoman cape, and she started doing CPR on me. It was her and, like, two other Spanish girls. Oh no, wait. It was her. She's Asian, and it was a Spanish girl and it was a white lady. And they were like all just taking turns doing CPR on me, and they just would not give up. And so I need to go back to the hospital and find them and thank them. I have their names, but I got to figure out where they're at and what shifts they're going. So I got to go do that. But I don't remember much. It was kind of weird whenever I woke up, and I don't know when this happened, but, I woke up and then I would fall asleep, and then I would wake up, and I was like in a loop or something, like, cause I had a nurse walk up to me, and he was a guy nurse, and he says, "Hey, I'm Caleb." He says, "I'm your nurse tonight." And I had a ventilator, so I couldn't talk. So I was trying to move my hands and tell him what I wanted. And he says, I'm not good in charades. I'm sorry, but I'll do the best I can. And then I'd fall asleep, and then I'd wake up, and then the same conversation would happen. And I go, what the heck? What the heck's going on? And then I was right next to the nurses station, so I could hear the nurses talking about their weekend, and they was talking about what they did, and I'd fall asleep, and I'd wake up, and I'd hear the same conversation. So that really scared the heck out of me. I know when I woke up, I saw, like I said, I don't know what timeline this was, but when I woke up, I saw Juan, sleeping on the chair next to me. And that dude hates hospitals. And if he was here right now, he would tell you, yeah, I hated hospitals, like really bad. And he was there, like he was asleep. I knew he was there. I go, that's Juan. What's he doing here? He hates hospitals. And so, but along the way, like whenever, like again, I'm backtracking just a little bit. Whenever I had the colorectomy, when I had the surgery on my intestine prior to all the GBS and all that stuff, I became friends with this one nurse. Super, super sweet, super nice lady. Her name is Shay Cleveland. Shay, if you're listening, I love you, baby. She was my nurse then. And so we were just joking all the time. We were friends. And so, I got discharged, and then, eventually I got GPS and I got put back in the hospital. So when this stuff went down, like whenever I was in the critical care unit and I had the ventilator on, right? So, they still couldn't figure out what was going on with me. They did MRIs, they did blood tests, they couldn't figure out. So I guess at this time, I think Steve and Raymond and my mom were coming into the hospital, and she was leaving, discharging somebody. And so they crossed paths at the entrance of the hospital. If I'm getting this story wrong, tell me, Stephen, because I heard it offhand. So
no, you're right so far.
Okay, so they crossed paths, and like the nurses, Shay, she saw my brothers because she saw them all whenever I was in the hospital prior, and she goes, "What are you doing here?" And they said, "Robert's here," and she goes, "What's he here for?" And they said, "I goes, I don't know. They can't figure it out. He's got tingling in his hands and his feet, and he coded, and he's up in critical care." And she says, "That sounds like GBS, Guillain-Barré syndrome." And she says, "Who's the medical power of attorney?" And my brother Raymond says, "Me." He says, and she told him, "Go up there and tell them to do a lumbar test, and let them know it's GBS, Guillain-Barré syndrome." So my brother goes up to the critical care unit, and he tells the doctor, "Hey, we think it's GBS. Can you test for it?" And they were saying, "Oh, no, it's not that. It's, as they said, the tingling starts somewhere else. And I forgot who said it. It was my brother Richard or somebody else. I don't know if it was you, Steven, but somebody told him. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll
go ahead.
So, okay, so whenever she was all like, when they ran into Shay, she was like, "Hey, let me go drop off this person in the front, and then I'll come back." And Raymond was like, "Well, can you meet us up at this floor?" They were like, "You know what? We'll wait for you, and then we'll take you to the waiting room because, the family's there." And then she was like, "Is Steven there?" And he was like, "Yes, he's up there." And she's like, "Okay," because I met her too, and she is a sweetheart. And honestly, Robert, I don't think you would be where you're at right now if we did not cross paths with her. So they bring her up here. I think I was calming down at this point. It was the second day, and Juan was there. Juan was already there. Mm-hmm. And he was in San Antonio the night of, and whenever we called him, that was a tough call. But he was there. Joe was there, and Joe and Richard were like, exchanging, like, because he saw you. I think he saw you 2 days, right? Mm-hmm. Whenever you were in the hospital. And he was like, I don't understand how he could be fine. The day when I was there, he was talking. We were talking about wrestling. We were talking about the good old days. And he was just, he was just happy to see me. And then whenever I saw him, like the day before you coded, it was a flip flop. Like, you were tired, you were mumbling words, and you had so much anxiety. And he's like, what is going on? Like, this was not the Robert I was speaking to 2 days ago. What is going on? And Richard was just furious. Like, I think he kept trying to speak to doctors, and the doctors kept telling him, we don't know what's wrong. And he's like, well, what do you mean you don't know? Because you're doctors, you went to school for this. What are you not looking for? Mm-hmm. And that's whenever Shay came in. She gave everybody a hug. She gave me a hug. And she goes, I need you to tell me what led to this. And we were all exchanging stories, and then I stepped in and I go, because everyone kept saying, like, that the doctors think that, the tingling started in his hands. I was like, no. Whenever I talked to Robert before he went to the hospital, he said that his feet felt like they were falling asleep. And I was all like, both of them? And he was like, yes. And they were like, you need to, and that's whenever she was like, told Raymond, she's like, you need to tell them to test. Was it called the lumbar test?
Yeah, lumbar. It's when they get a needle and they stick it in your spine and they pull fluid out.
A spinal tap, yeah.
Right.
That's what she told us. She says they need to do a spinal tap and they need a test for that, because honestly, they don't really look for that unless someone like they push it, or a doctor knows what this is, because this disease is very rare.
Right.
And I was all like, that was whenever Joe was like, hey, didn't a Dallas Cowboy have that?
Travis Frederick.
Yeah, Travis Frederick.
But I think they caught his early, though. They caught his early.
They caught it early, and he was able to recover. But and then Shay said that she had an experience the same thing with a woman that had was it I forgot what surgery it is, gastric bypass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and she got the same thing, and that's whenever they found out what it was. But hers was worse because she was like on a ventilator for I think like 2 weeks.
Wow.
And and then that's whenever they thought they confirmed that it was GBS. But anyway, they were able to, the doctors, like I think Caleb was the one with the Harley Davidson.
Yeah. I don't know who that was. I wasn't Caleb. Caleb was a nurse, and it was actually two Calebs, a African American guy and a white guy, and they were both cool. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah, no, one of the nurses came in and he was all like, well, no, like, we don't think it's GPS because, he kept, it shows on his file that the tingling started in his hands. I was like, no, I'm telling you, it started in his feet. Because I talked to him like 4 days ago, and he was saying that he had, like, his feet felt like they were asleep. And he's like, I go, does it go away when you're walking? And you were like, yeah, it kind of goes away, but honestly, like it's like really bad, like in the morning whenever I'm asleep, and I can't seem to figure out why. And then I go, the day before the surgery, when you got the stent, that was whenever you said, like, now it's moving to your hands. Yeah.
And then I was all like, that's weird. I go, do you still feel it in your feet? And you're like, yeah. So I told him that, and he like looked at the ground for like maybe 10 seconds, and it was the whole room was quiet. And then he looks at me and looks at everybody, and he's like, "I'll be right back." And then he left. I think about like 10 minutes later, he came in with his supervisor, one of the doctors, and they were all like, GBS is, starts at the feet. And that's whenever he was like asking everybody, "Are you sure that he said that it started at the feet? Because on the file it shows that it started with his hands." And we're like, "No, it started at the feet." And that's whenever Raymond was like, "Can you please, like, I'm I guess power of attorney, or he was like, can you please, like, can you test that way we can roll it out?" And he was like, "Okay, well, we're gonna have to do a spinal tap here, and we're gonna have to roll him over and all that stuff." And that's whenever, fast forward all that, they did it. And then whenever we got the results back, or some of the results back, I think it was the next day, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, the results are not fully in, but the results that we are getting back, it looks like it's pointing towards GBS. So we're going to go ahead and start giving them the hemoglobin
IVG
treatment.
The IVG,
the hemoglobin treatment, and it's a consecutive, like, I think
5 days
5 days treatment, and they give it to you once. And they said, "Okay, we're going to go ahead and start doing that." And I think immediately, like, I want to say maybe 2 hours after they gave you the first dose? Hemoglobin. Yeah, the first dose, your hands and your feet were moving, and you were like, you looked like you were just about to, like you were a little bit more alert.
Yeah,
and we were noticing that. And I guess if you want to take over on this, and you can describe, I guess that.
Yeah, because like, let me just backtrack again. I'm backtracking again, but what people don't understand with GBS, Guillain-Barré syndrome, is it's a bacteria that gets in your body. And so apparently, the hospital's not claiming this, but apparently I must have got it when I had the surgery to remove my intestine. So apparently some bacteria might have got in on an instrument or someone's hand or something. I don't know, whatever happened. So this bacteria, it makes your immune system attack your nervous system, and it's like attacking your body. And so it made all my muscles like into atrophy. So it made like the muscles stop working. So as it traveled up my body, it made the nerves in my lungs and my heart stop. And so that's why I coded. But they couldn't figure it out. But at that time, I think I was like you said, I was waking up, and I think you were in the room, Raymond. Let me see. Okay, it was you, Raymond, Steve, Yolanda, right? I think I'm missing somebody else. I think I'm missing somebody else.
I think I'm getting confused of who was in the actual room or who was in the waiting room.
Right, but I think
there was a lot of people there.
Like in the room, it was you, Steve, Yolanda, Raymond, and I was waking up, and I think I looked toward y'all, and Raymond goes, "Hey," he said something along the line. I'm probably wrong. He goes, "Hey, are you awake, or do you know where you're at? Are you okay?" or something like that. And he might have said one of those things. I can't remember, but I just remember he was like responding to me, and I did the too sweet sign, and I showed him. I go, "Yeah, I'm here. I'm too sweet," and he goes, "He's back. He's back." So that part, because like all that, like I said, all that stuff was kind of spotty. Like I couldn't remember what day it was, like what day it was, what time of the day it was. It was day, night, morning. I couldn't tell. And
that was, I think that was Sunday afternoon. Sunday afternoon. And that was whenever I think Blair came, my wife. I'm gonna do like a quick shout out to her, how much she loves you.
Yes, and I love her too.
She knows. Whenever the whole thing happened, she was at work, and unfortunately, her job was did not want to let her go.
Yeah, they were being dicks. Let's just call it the way it is. They were being dicks.
Yeah, they were being dicks. They were being assholes. Anyway, if you have a flood, don't go to them.
Yeah. Dry force.
Yeah, do not go to them.
Anyway, go ahead.
Whenever she got off work, I was telling her, Robert looks bad. Like when you see him, it's gonna break you. And she's like, no, no, he's you know, I know, but he's fine. He's back. So, you know, she was just doing that, and I was like, okay, all right, well, I'm gonna. So me and Raymond took her to go see you, and immediately she saw you on the ventilator. She broke down.
I was asleep. I was asleep.
Yeah, you were asleep. I said, oh yeah, that's right. I go, he's asleep right now. They just they sedated him right now so he can rest. But we can show you, and we'll show you how he looks. And she just had a positive face, and I just saw that positivity just break.
It just disappeared. It just melted away, right?
Like, just looking at you, she knew that this was really bad because she saw you on the ventilator, and she just saw you, and she said, that doesn't look like Robert. That's not Robert. That's not Robert. That's not him.
Yeah.
And I started crying, and I was hugging her, and I had to take her away because she was just not. It came out so much, and
yeah,
and she's like, that's not him. That's not Robert. That's not Robert. No, that's not Robert. She just kept saying that, and I said, I know. It's not. But unfortunately, like, he's back. Like, he's okay. They can't figure out what's wrong. So whenever she saw you, I think Sunday night is whenever you were just being more alert. She was like, oh my God, like he's like moving. He's moving his. I think, yeah, because I called off Monday. I told my manager. She was very understanding. They were all very understanding. And I think Monday and Tuesday is when I called off. And I think I was there with you Monday morning. That was whenever they started doing the, I want to say was it an EKG, or was it like they were taking pictures of your heart.
Yeah.
Because since your heart stopped, I guess they considered it a cardiac arrest.
Yeah, they wouldn't say it's a cardiac arrest, but they were doing tests.
Because they were just saying that, you know, since you had a heart attack, and then there was like nurses like, well, no, it wasn't a heart attack, his heart just stopped. And we're like, well, isn't that the same as
a heart attack?
Isn't that the same as a heart attack? They're like, no, during a heart attack is whenever the heart is trying really hard to. That's basically what it was doing. Like he was trying to explain that it was like trying to. It's like I forgot what the word he was using. Like it kept. I don't know. I'm getting mad just by thinking about it, because I remember I was so mad because they couldn't. Yeah. They couldn't give us a straight answer, and you could tell me, Joe, Juan, Raymond. I think Raymond was the calm one, but I know probably deep inside he was getting infuriated.
Yeah.
But we were all showing it like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, that's not comforting at all. So.
But I think once they started giving me the IVG, they kind of just like decided that's what I have. I have GBS, and so
yeah, that is what you had, and you can tell by Monday and Tuesday, that was whenever you were just. I want to say it was Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Tuesday is whenever you were able to write.
Yes, because so again, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. So May the 29th was a Saturday. And you got there, I guess, that night, and you took Blair to see me on the 30th was a Sunday, 31st, and the 1st you stayed with me or you called off, and the 1st was June the 1st, which was a Tuesday, and I think I had enough strength I asked somebody, I go, hey, I need a write, because I was doing like sign language to people, like, hey, because I'll just say this. When I woke up and I got the IVG stuff put inside me, and it was like I was going through the second treatment or something like that, I was burning up. It was like hot as hell. And
that's actually, I think that's whenever we figured that out, that was actually one of the side effects.
Yeah.
Is that it's giving you that dosage where it was making your nerves like just come back alive, like heating it up.
Yeah, and I was like
fire.
Because I wrote down on, because I asked him, because I think Raymond or you, I can't remember who, but you you undid the thing on my wrist so I could write, and so I wrote, and it wasn't pretty. I just wrote it the best I could. What's the temperature in the room? And then you said, I think Raymond said it's 69, and it was like I was still burning up, And I think I can't remember who it was. They brought some fans for me. I had like 3 fans on me, and then I wrote down the second thing I wrote down. I think it was like, what's today's date? And it was June 1st. And I said, I got to pay rent. I got to pay rent.
Yeah, that's whenever you wrote down rent and question mark.
Yeah.
I go, don't worry, we're working on that right now. But backtrack a little bit on that. Whenever you started writing, I think you were playing like charades, not by choice, but you were trying like really, really to tell the nurse and Raymond like something. And Raymond was the one that brought it up. He goes, "Do you want to write something? Do you think you can write?" And you like kind of like he said that you gave this look like, I don't want to fail. Like, I don't want, if I can't write, like what is,
Yeah.
How can I give off the information that I need
communicate
to say?
with you. Yeah.
Communicate. Yeah. So he pushed for it. He's like, let's try to write. So I think they got the board and the marker. And the first thing you did was like a squiggly line you were trying to write, and Raymond said that you looked like already infuriated,
defeated or something.
Yeah, defeated, getting frustrated, and he's like, "Come on, you can do it." And that's whenever you wrote down temp ?
Yeah,
and I think I was coming to the room whenever that was happening, but I stayed back because I didn't know what they were doing. I didn't want to throw you off your game. And I saw that you were writing, but I didn't see what you were writing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, "Oh, okay," and that's whenever you said temp, and then I think you said clean. You said clean something.
Clean my face.
Clean your face, and they were like, "Oh, okay, you want us to clean your face?" And Raymond got the paper and walked out, and he said he's writing, and we were like, "Yes!" We both like did a high five,
yeah,
and then we broke down crying, like happy tears, like for the first time it was happy tears.
I will tell you this, man, that was really hard to do. It was really hard to write. I was struggling. I was struggling holding the marker or the pen, whatever I was holding. I don't even remember what it was, but I was struggling. I go, okay, this way, that way, okay. And it was like it took all my energy just to write temp or rent ? And then I'm not going to give this other person the satisfaction on who else I was asking about, so I'm not going to talk about that. So
yeah,
but after 5 days of that IVG, and I'm hoping I'm not skipping anything right now, but I think I was able to move my hands more, and I was able to breathe. I was on a ventilator, I think for I want to say 8 days or something like that, or maybe less. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was
a slow process. It was a slow process. Yeah, because they kept saying, I think that day, I'm gonna backtrack here. Sorry. That day is whenever you started writing. Is whenever the first day I went back to work, and I couldn't concentrate. I told my manager, I was like, "Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I shouldn't be here. I honestly shouldn't, but I'm here out of good faith. That Robert, my uncle's back, and he's they're giving him the treatment. They found out what they think it is, and they're giving him treatment, and he's already showing signs that he's doing good, but." I'm gonna be on my phone a lot, and I hope you can. If y'all want to send me home, they're like, no, just do what you can here, and if you need to leave, let me know. So I was wearing a red shirt. Mm-hmm. So when I went there and you were writing, I think one of the times after that, and we told everybody that you were writing, I went in there and it was just me, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And then you were like, looking at me, and I was like, "Hey, you want to write?" And you look like you were tired, but you wanted to write. So you wrote, and you accidentally wrote on my shirt, my red shirt. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and down the line later on, a lot of people bring that up when they see me on my shirt. Like, "Hey, you got marker on your shirt?" I go, "Yep." I go, "This is my uncle right here.
What was I writing? What was I writing that I had to write on my shirt?
I don't know.
Was I signing an autograph or something?
I don't know, but I was holding the clipboard wrong, and then you just slid off accidentally, and you just marked on my shirt.
Jeez.
And then Blair, she didn't know this, but she was all like, "Why don't you just wash it?" I go, "No, I'm not washing this.
I didn't even know that story, man.
Like I'll wash it I'll wash my shirt. Obviously, I'm not that dirty, but
Right.
I'll do laundry. But she's like, "Why don't we put shout and get rid of it?" I go, "No, I don't want to. I don't get rid of it because that was whenever Robert started riding for the first time, and I will not get rid of it. I'm losing weight, and that shirt's kind of baggy." But I still wear that shirt. I still think it's probably my favorite shirt ever that you were able to write. And I don't think I ever told you that. But
you didn't. You never told me.
I have. There's like 2 marks right there on my right arm, on my shoulder, and everybody always brings it up. Hey, you got a mark on your shirt? I go, yeah. I got this from my uncle whenever he started riding, and they're like, what? I said, if you don't know, then you don't know.
Oh,
so
man!
If you don't know,
that's actually a good story. I didn't even know that. I'm glad you told me that. So
yeah, I forgot to tell you that, but yeah, I have that shirt, and so they took you off the ventilator. I think it was a Thursday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I think it was a Thursday, and I had so much anxiety. I had you already know this, but I had I think. When that happened it was a Saturday, right?
yeah.
That was a Saturday. I honestly did not eat anything, any food, I think I had a little bit of water, but I didn't eat anything until Monday morning.
Wow.
I could not eat. I told Saturday night after we left the hospital, I was so weak. I was so drained. And Blair was like, I'm hungry. Let's try to eat. And so we went to a Mexican restaurant, and I took one bite, and I felt so sick. And I said, I can't eat. It's not. I don't want to eat. And while the waiters and the waitresses were like, is it something wrong? Is something wrong? I go, no, it's just we had a long day, and I think they knew something was wrong, but they didn't want to go into it or talk to me, but. Blair was trying to make me eat, and I said, I can't eat. I don't want to eat. Because if I feel like I eat, something in the atmosphere is just going to set something wrong. Yeah. And I want to sit right here, and I just want to try my best to omit what's left of my positive that I have.
Yeah.
So I didn't eat Saturday. When I went back to the hospital Sunday, I didn't eat. Everybody kept saying, eat me home. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll eat. And I just put the food away. I just either throw it away. Or I think one of the days they got Burger King, mm-hmm. and they got me a Whopper, and I think I gave it to Juan, and Juan was like, you don't want to eat it? I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, Juan he probably didn't eat it either because
he ate it.
Did he really? Because normally he eats stuff with mustard in it.
I think he ate it. I don't know. I wasn't too sure, but I didn't eat anything till Monday morning, and that was whenever. Someone got me breakfast. I think it was Kane. He's the health manager at my job.
Yeah. He's the one that does the temperature checks during the COVID
temperature checks.
Right.
And he understands movie references. But he was like, "Hey, buddy, you're all right, man." And I was like, "No, man, I'm really not." And he's like, "Hey, I have a sausage McMuffin here." They gave me an extra one. I think he honestly bought me one. Mm. He's like, try to eat, man. You need to eat. And I was like, fine, whatever. So I ate it, and that was whenever I was getting back into the rhythm of just eating again. But yeah, I didn't eat until that Monday morning, or no, not Monday morning. Tuesday morning is whenever I went back. So I didn't eat for 3 days, and. You know me. That's I don't know. That's one of the things where you just don't want to eat. And I felt like I did lose you. I lost you for 7 minutes, and that I felt like something was around the corner, and I felt I had the most anxiety that I've ever felt in my entire life because I was like, man, I lost him, and that something could happen again, and you can flatline again. And I go, that's whenever I was talking to God, every day in the bathroom when I went to the bathroom. Yeah. And I was like, he's back. I'm glad you gave him back, but please do not take him away. I just can't. It's a cruel joke if you do. It's the most cruelest thing you could do to me right now. Right. So I was like, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll do whatever it takes. Mm-hmm. Please let him go, because I think I told Blair too. I go. You are. I don't want to man, I'm gonna say it. You're like the last. Like, I know I have my family members. I have Raymond. I have Steve. I have David. No, I was just saying, like, you know, the whole, like, losing you was like, you know, I know everybody knows my mom and all that stuff, but I was like, that's like, I'm losing like a branch of my family tree.
Yeah.
You know, and I go, I need my branches to show my boys, you know, where the Dominguez, you know, people come from, you know, because I was telling Blair, I go, I want to be honest with you, Blair. Like, I feel selfish for being so envious of you, because you have everybody. You have your dad, you have both moms, you have your both, you know, you have your grandparents. I go, I don't have my grandpa. I don't have my mom. I don't have my real dad. I don't have my stepdad. I don't have my brother. And to lose you was like, you can only imagine what I was just thinking.
Yeah, I can just imagine, because I know what you had gone through, and I didn't want to put you through that. I really didn't, and it's not, it was not in my control. But I know when I woke up and I saw you, I just said, I'm sorry, and I didn't mean to put you through all that stuff. So I mean, I don't know. It was just a tough time, and I think at that time, like you were saying, I was on a ventilator until I think June the 3rd, and they took me off. They took me off the ventilator, and once they took me off the ventilator, you saw that, right? You saw me whenever they took it off of me, right?
I did. Steve was really like, I'm gonna see him. They're gonna take the ventilator out, and he was like so strong. But as soon as like they started like moving the ventilator, your face was like really like, obviously it's unpleasant.
It's very unpleasant.
It's unpleasant. I can't even imagine that. Yeah. So that's whenever he's like, I can't watch this, and he like looked away and he started breaking down. Yeah. And I was like, okay, all right, I'll look. And I don't know how I got the strength to look, but I saw you because I wanted to see. I think I was hoping to see the relief, and I'm so glad that you showed the relief.
Yes.
Because if you didn't, I would have been like, oh my God, like why are they hurting him? But as soon as they took the ventilator out, you spat up, you coughed, and you looked so relieved. I think you like rolled your eyes back and like, oh
my God, I can breathe.
I can breathe. I can actually breathe. Because it's funny how I'm thinking, like, because I've never been on the ventilator. I can only imagine. But it's funny how that's helping you breathe, but it feels like you're being robbed to actually breathe.
Yeah.
You gave that look of relief, and I'm so glad you gave that look.
Yeah, it was tough, because I know as a kid, I had an operation when I was a kid, and I didn't have a ventilator, but I had like tubes in my mouth, and when they pulled it out, I was pretty relieved. So I knew what was coming whenever they pulled it. I said, okay, it's gonna hurt, but it's okay, it's gonna be out. So I think as soon as they got out, I tried to talk to everybody. I tried to talk and I just I didn't have the voice. I was like,
we kept telling you, stop. Like the nurses kept saying, no, stop talking. It's going to take a minute. Just just keep coughing up the phlegm, because I think that's when everyone was freaking out. I was like, why is he coughing? It's like, oh, that's normal. That's all the stuff that's the phlegm, and it's going to take time. But I think after like 30 minutes after that, you were able to whisper.
Yeah,
we were able to, oh my God.
I think Shay had came in, I think at that time. And I was telling her that I loved her. I said, I love you. And she goes, I love you too. And I know, Raymond and Carol and everybody was there. And it was like, man, I think I was like wanting like a Coke Zero and pizza or something.
Yeah, that was, you're like, I think Raymond was like, I think I went back to the waiting room, and he's like, he wants a Coke Zero and he wants pizza, and we all started laughing. Like,
yeah,
we were like, oh, thank God! Like, and I think that's what I think I made that promise. I was like, we're gonna get, as soon as he's out of here, we're gonna have like a pizza party. We're just gonna go to a pizza place, Pizza Inn, whatever. and we did that for a while. I'm glad that we did that.
Yeah, it was pretty tough once I got off of it, and I think at that time, I was asking for a Coke Zero, and then the nurse would say, I can't give you Coke Zero. I go, I can give you a Sierra Mist. I go, okay, give me Sierra Mist. So she gave me like,
Yeah.
I think she gave me like some graham crackers and some ice and some pudding and some Sierra Mist, and it tastes so good. I was like, oh my God, this just tastes so good. It was just like, it's just one of those things that's like, you know, when you don't have flavor in your mouth and then you get it, it's just like an explosion. It's just like, I don't know. It's hard to say that when you don't eat it for, you know, X amount of days and then you're finally able to eat. But
yeah, because you didn't eat, you know, because you were on the ventilator for like 6 days, or 6. I think it was like 5, 6.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but you were on the ventilator for a little bit, and we kept getting worried because everyone kept saying the longer he's on it, the you know, it's not good the longer he's on it.
I think like I was on it for 6 days. I got it.
Yeah.
I think the 29th, and I got it off on June 3rd. So like
and
you're
then
saying,
I think on the third day, as whenever they said, "Oh, we're gonna try taking the ventilator out today," and it didn't happen. And then it said, "Okay, we're gonna try it today." It didn't happen. And I think I was getting like mad. Like I was like, "When? Can you just give me a date? Stop saying a day and not following up."
yeah,
with it.
I think what they were doing is they were doing all these breathing tests on me. Like they were knocking down the ventilator like to 60% and 40% and 20% to see if I could breathe on my own without getting tired. And so
yeah, because they would turn it off.
Yeah,
and they would see how it. And dang it, man, I forgot the number that it needed to be.
Yeah,
but I think you reached that number for like a day, and it was like good. Mm-hmm. And they were all like, "Okay, it's time to take the ventilator out." And that's whenever they were like, really, like they were like, "The ventilator's gonna come out today." Like we were like all excited, like it's gonna come out. It's happening right now. Like it's about to happen right now. So that was whenever they took it out, and you were able to breathe on your own. And I still felt anxiety. I was like, let's just see how he does without the ventilator. Because I kept thinking that you were going to have a hard time breathing again, and then they were going to have to put it back. I kept like praying against.
Man, once that thing was out, I didn't want it back in. I go, no,
I know. Yeah, I know.
I would just sit there and just think, okay, breathe good, breathe deep, okay, breathe. And so I was just thinking about that. And that's whenever you can't move that much, that's all you think about is just breathing. So, but I think after that, I think on June the 9th is when they moved me to Baylor Rehab. And then I was starting the long road to doing physical therapy, because that was, they gave me 5 days of the IVG, and then they said, okay, after this, nothing but physical therapy. And so I had a speech therapist, I had an occupational therapist, I was a physical therapist, which I can just say right now at Baylor Hospital, they were the best. They were the best people. And I'll go back and say this, I had the best support from my family, I had the best support from my friends, I had the best support from you and Raymond and Steve and Carol and Richard, David, my mom, everybody. They just gave me the best support, and they gave me so much prayers, and I cannot say enough things about that. I mean, because I know at the very beginning of this podcast, we try not to talk about politics, we try not to talk about religion, but I'm just telling you right now that prayers work. They work, and I had nothing but support. And there was times when I was down and I didn't want to do anything, and everybody just pushed me and they prayed, and I pulled forward. And like the people at Baylor, they're great. I went back and I thanked them all. Everybody that put their hands on me, I thanked them. I hugged them. I cried with them, and I said thank you for helping me, to get past this, because the doctors were telling me like maybe 6 months, to a year to 2 years to walk. And I was telling myself, I go, man, screw that. I'm going to walk before that. And I'm just telling you right now, Steven, I've worked really hard on jobs. I've worked hard on, working 2 or 3 jobs at a time, but I don't think I've ever worked as hard as this, doing physical therapy. Trying to get myself ready. And
you did I cannot express enough how proud I am, and I know a lot of people are proud of you of where you were at then and where you're at now. Yeah, because it's just tremendous. Like I can't. It's It's when people say they don't believe in miracles or stuff like that. That was right there. If you didn't believe in miracles right then, like that's I don't know. I can't explain it to you. The whole thing was nothing but like miracles and whys and 7 minutes out, no oxygen to the brain, no brain damage, no brain swelling.
Yeah.
Why? We can always go back to that as to why, how, why they couldn't. Even the doctors were stumped, and I was just rolling with it. I was rolling with that wave that God had control over, and he just let us just ride the wave. Don't fight against it. Just ride this wave. Just ride it.
Yeah.
Don't fight against the current, because I'm taking you where it needs to go.